Hello students, in this video we are going to see an interesting lesson. Unit 5, Lesson 1 at Dotheboys Hall. This lesson was written by Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens was one of the most celebrated writers in 19th century Britain. His novels like David Copperfield and Oliver Twist are based on his own childhood experiences. His other major works are Great Expectations, Bleak House, and A Tale of Two Cities. His work is notable for its realism, social criticism, and comedy. Okay, let us see the introduction. Have you ever studied in a boarding school or know someone who has? This extract is taken from Dickens' novel Nicholas Nickleby. It's a novel about a young man's struggles to support himself and his family after his father's death. When Nicholas starts a job at a boarding school called Dotheboys, he is taken aback by the way the students are treated by the headmaster, Wackford Squires, and his wife, Mrs. Squires. So, students, in this picture you can see the novel Nicholas Nickleby, written by Charles Dickens. Okay, we shall continue with the lesson. So, in this picture, you could see a boarding school, and the dormitories in which the students of a boarding school would stay and would dine. Okay, so these pictures could give you a small vision about the life of the students in a boarding school. Okay, let's continue. Let's see the prime characters in this lesson. First one, Mr. Squires, the headmaster, and Mrs. Squires, who was the wife of Mr. Squires, and also the prime character Nicholas Nickleby, who joined there as a teacher in Dotheboys Hall School. Okay, let's see. Past 7, Nickleby, said Mrs. Squires on the first cold morning after Nicholas' arrival at Dotheboys Hall. Come, tumble up. The pump's frozen. You can't wash yourself this morning. So, you must be happy giving yourself a dry polish till we break the ice in the well. and can get a bucketful out for the boys. So, on the very first day, Nicholas Nickleby uh, couldn't take bath as the well in the Dotheboys school. It was frozen, and also the pumps also frozen due to cold. Okay, let's continue. Nicholas put on his clothes and was about to leave when Mrs. Squires came into the room. She wore her night clothes and an ancient beaver bonnet. Okay, so Nicholas got ready, and when he was about to leave the room, Mrs. Squires entered there, and she wore her night clothes and an ancient beaver bonnet, which was a hat-like thing. I can't find the school spoon anywhere, and it's Brimstone morning today, she complained. Okay, so she was searching for the spoon, and she couldn't locate it. We purify the boy's blood with it now and then, Nickleby Squires explained. Okay, so with the use of brimstone trickle, Mrs. Squire explained that they were purifying the blood of the students by brimstone and trickle. What is that brimstone and trickle? Let us see in the following passage. Let me tell you plainly, we don't do it for just for the good of it, Mrs. Squires said. They have brimstone and trickle because they would always be ailing and giving a world of trouble if they didn't have something by the way of medicine. Okay, so it is a kind of a medicine, and Mrs. Squires supports the words of Mrs. Squires that they are giving the brimstone and trickle to students not only for the good of it, but by the way of medicine. They are giving a good treatment. Okay, so the students would always be ailing, and if they don't have anything by the way of medicine, means it will be a world of trouble. Okay, and also it reduces their appetite and is cheaper than breakfast and dinner, so it does them good and as good at the same time. So from this passage we could understand that this brimstone and trickle, it reduces the appetite of the students. Okay, so moreover it is cheaper than breakfast and dinner cost. Okay, so the cost of preparing food for the students will be less when they give the brimstone and trickle, because it reduces their appetite. So it does them good and as. Okay, so it is a benefit for both of them, the students as well as the school management. Okay, let us see what is brimstone and trickle. Okay, in this picture we could see the brimstone and trickle, and in olden days it was sold in a tin in markets. Okay, brimstone and trickle was a strong tasting tonic made of sulfur and molasses. In Victorian times, it was given to children a few times a week in the morning to prevent common ailments like coughs, colds, and stomach problems. Okay, so this is called as a brimstone and trickle. Okay, as Nicholas digested this information, Mrs. Squires went back to looking for the spoon in the closet, with Mrs. Squires helping. After a great deal of fruitless rummaging, a boarder named Spike was called in. Mr. Squires boxed his ears and asked him about the spoon. Okay, so boxed means here he have a pinching in the ears of the small boy Smike. You might have it in your pocket, ma'am, Smike stuttered. Okay, so as the small boy is Mike, he afraid of getting beaten by the school headmaster and his missus. He replied in an afraid way. This indeed turned out to be the case, but since Mrs. Squires had said earlier that she didn't have it, Smike got another box on the air for contradicting his mistress. Okay, so here Smike gave a contradictory statement, as Mrs. Squires might have the spoon in her pocket. Okay, so he got another box on the ear. You'll get a sound thrashing, boy, if you aren't more respectful in future, she said. Before going her way, she is more than a mother to them, said Squires admiringly. Okay, so Mrs. Squires threatened the boy that if he is not respectful, means he will be given punishments. After that, Mr. Squires admires his wife that she is more than a mother to them. Okay, said Squires admiringly. He admires his missus. Okay, she does things for the boys, Nickleby, that most mothers wouldn't do for their own sons. Okay, so Mr. Squires admires his wife that she is more than a mother. She is doing many more things that most mothers wouldn't do for their own sons. I should think not, sir, answered Nicholas as he followed Squires across the yard to the schoolroom. There, said the schoolmaster as they stepped into a bare and dirty room. This is our shop. So, as both of them were discussing and crossed a yard and reached the classroom. Okay, that was a dirty, it was a bare and dirty room. Okay, so in this picture you could see how the classroom looks. It was dirty and it was not a well equipped classroom, and also even the walls are very worst, and we could see the bricks shown out of the wall. Nicholas looked around with dismay at the windows, stopped up with old copybooks and paper, the old rickety desk and discolored walls. Okay, rickety desks. Rickety means shaky. The desks are not proper. Okay, but it was looking at the people dressed in odd, ill-fitting clothes that his hopes about the establishment dimmed. Okay, the students they were dressed in tattered, ill-fitting clothes. Okay, so all his imaginations, all his hopes about the school dimmed. They were pale and haggard faces, boys of stunted growth, and others whose thin legs would hardly bear their stooping bodies. Okay, so the boys' appearance. Okay, they were pale and haggard faces. They were not fully grown, correctly grown. Okay, it was a stunted growth, and their thin legs would hardly bear their stooping bodies. Okay, so this is about the appearance of the students. Okay, in this picture we could see they were not dressed properly. The dress, okay, and their appearance were not good. They were faces that told of young lives which from childhood had borne cruelty and neglect. These faces would have been handsome, but were darkened with the scowl of sullen, dogged suffering. Okay, from this passage we could understand that the condition of the students was very bad. Okay, in such a manner they were treating the children. Okay, Mrs. Squires stood at the desk with a large basin of brimstone and treacle. Using an enormous wooden spoon, she served this to each boy, who gulped it down in one go under fear of punishment. After everyone had been trickled, Smike shuffled out with the basin. Okay, so all of the students were given the brimstone and treacle using an enormous wooden spoon, and even though if they don't like it, they gulped it, because under fear of punishment, because the students may be punished if they didn't swallow it. Okay. So after it was served to all of the students, Smike shuffled out with the basin. Okay. A meager breakfast followed, comprising small bowls of brown porridge eaten with a minute wedge of bread. Okay. Nicholas too had this, along with a slice of bread and butter given to him by virtue of his position as a teacher. Okay. So after that, what happened? A small amount of breakfast was given to the students. So what was the breakfast? Yeah, small bowl of brown porridge and also a small wedge of bread. Nicholas also had this, but in addition to that, he was given a slice of bread and butter. So those things were given to him by virtue of his position as a teacher. Okay. So after that, what happens? Then Squires made his way to his desk for the first class. This is the class in English spelling and philosophy, Nickleby, he said, beckoning Nicholas to stand beside him. Now then, where's the first boy? Okay, so after the breakfast, the class started. Okay, so that was the English spelling and philosophy class, and Mr. Squires was asking the first boy, where is the first boy? For that, please sir, said one helpless people, he is cleaning the back parlor window. Okay. So he is, to be sure, replied Squires. We follow the practical mode of teaching, Nickleby. So here Mr. Squires is explaining Nicholas that they were following practical mode of teaching. CLEAN, clean, verb, to make bright. WIN, win, DER, done, winder, a casement. So Mr. Squires was teaching wrongly, teaching the spellings wrongly, and also he is supporting their way of treating the children. Okay, so he had asked the boy to clean the back parlor window, but he was supporting his statements by saying that they were following the practical mode of teaching, and the spelling is the spelling for window. He is saying that winder, WINDER. Okay, so ultimately he was teaching wrongly and also treating wrongly. When the boy knows this out of a book, he goes and does it. Okay, so he supports their mode of treating the boys. Where is the second boy? Please, sir, he is weeding the garden. Now, Mr. Squires is asking about the second boy, and for that, the another boy replied that he is weeding the garden. For this, what Mr. Squires is going to explain, let us see in the second part. Okay, students, thank you. Have a nice day.